Okay, I'm proud to have Seth Williams on today on our little YouTube channel here, Luke Smith on ruralvacantland.com. And Seth has always been a great inspiration for me. I love to see his content. He puts out a lot of amazing content talking about land, figuring out vacant land, and making it happen. One of the earliest favorite videos and memories of Seth Williams to me is about an old software, Agent Pro 24/7. I don't even think it's published anymore, and that he presented on his YouTube channel. It's probably one of his early YouTube videos. He showed San Diego was his example, and he was making fun of how hard it was to find vacant land in San Diego and the extremes. And he was showing this tool that took data from the public records and gave it to you across the country that you could use to contact owners of the property. And I thought this is the coolest thing. And San Diego County, man, like he made fun of San Diego County, but I said, no, we can figure out San Diego County. I did so many deals in San Diego County later. I want to say, that data tool works all over the place. And he shared uh, a deal. If you signed up through his name at that time, you got a discount on the software. And I signed up for that and I kept it going until that software canceled out on me. They said, we're no longer going to publish the software anymore. But I still had Seth Williams rate on that software. I was kicking rocks. It was like, I don't remember the number, but it was the best rate ever. And they increased prices from there. And I want to say thank you for that, Seth, and thank you for showing us how that works and just sharing and sharing and sharing. It's just, he's got a good heart to share information about how to do land deals and do deals. So he's done a deal that I'd like to ask him about that he developed. He took from vacant land to storage building. And so if you're up for it, Seth, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what you're referring to is the self storage facility that I think I was in April of 2021 was when I bought a 6.7 acre vacant lot. It was about a 20-minute drive from my house. Um, and I paid 69,000 bucks for it, I think is what I paid. And the main reason I did it was because I was trying to find an existing self storage facility to buy. And I sent out a direct mail campaign within like 100 miles of where I lived. And I couldn't find anything. Like nobody was even remotely interested in selling for less than like twice what their places were worth. It was just an insane time in the self storage industry, probably the hottest it's ever been. Terrible time to try to find a great deal, especially when you're coming from the land business and you can make, crazy low offers and get them accepted. So I started thinking, like, man, if people are selling these things and some people are actually paying these crazy amounts, like normally I would never build something, but I could kind of do it. And even if I screw it all up, I could still sell a half built, half empty facility and probably make money on it. So that situation kind of de-risked it for me in my mind. And so I bought this vacant lot and went through all the steps required to get the thing rezoned from residential to commercial, and then got the plans drawn up, got those approved, and found a general contractor, found the financing, and it was just that first part of like getting all the pieces in place, getting all the approvals. It took about a year, like before we could even put a shovel in the dirt. And then once we did put a shovel in the dirt, it took another like forget like basically another year for that to get done. And it was in we had our full final grand opening in August. It was June or August of 2023, and it's been open since then. And I think it's at like about 80% occupied now.
Oh,
So
congratulations. That's
yeah,
good. It's a
yeah,
good lease up rate.
yeah, yeah. It's the thing is like when I got the feasibility study when I started doing this at the time, everything was red hot, and the feasibility study said, yeah, when you finish this thing, it'll probably uh, be fully leased up within like 6 to 9 months, which is insane. Like that's
Yeah.
I've never even heard of that before. But like that was actually kind of true based on that snapshot in time. But again, it took me 2 years to actually get this thing done. And this is one of the
Yeah.
big risks that every developer has to deal with because from the point you make the decision to do it to the point when it's actually finished and ready for the market, like the world changes. It might be
Yeah.
more ripe for that or less. And so it definitely slowed down for us, but not so bad that, it turned into a bad thing.
Yeah. So how did you find the land? Did you use some of your data sets and start mailing and reaching out, or was this something listed on the markets that you thought you could specifically use for this use, or how did you go about your land choice?
Yeah, so this was listed on the market and um interesting things. So like uh when I saw the property and the location, the 6.7 acres for 69 grand, it's like that's a great deal for what that is. But the thing that was not apparent to me on the surface was
Yeah,
well, back up a little bit. One of the things I knew I would have to do was rezone it from residential to commercial. So like that was
yeah.
a thing I knew I'd have to do. And I had conversations with the neighbors and with the municipality before I bought it to get a pretty
Is it
reasonable idea that I could rezone the thing.
is it township? Is it like
The
Michigan
township,
township
yeah.
style? Yeah. Is it a
Yep.
smaller township, just like the local
Yep.
board people try to they're
Yeah.
publicly elected, you can look up their phone number online, call them kind of people, or is it
Maybe
not that
I
easy?
never I never did that, but I talked to the clerk, like the guy in charge of facilitating it. So like
Okay.
he's been there for years, he's seen all the meetings. He could kind of give me an idea for like if I'm
Yeah.
barking up the wrong tree or not.
Right.
Um and and I mean honestly, even if I couldn't get it rezoned, I could just chop it up into three parcels and sell them as residential. So like there was a
There you
plan
go.
B if I needed to take that. But yeah, honestly, it was one of those things where uh again, this is not like me to do a huge construction project like this. And
No.
I was praying about this a lot.
Oh, I
And the
bet.
prayer was like, God, if I'm crazy, like if you don't let this happen, like just sabotage these plans, like kill this as soon as possible. Like I don't need to do this. I want to, but I don't need to. And that was my
Yeah.
prayer like every single week. And like doors just kept opening. Like it was just weird. Like things were not difficult. It just happened. So I took
Yeah.
that to mean, I guess I have a green light. So I kept going and it worked out.
Good job. Good job, Seth. You're
Yeah.
always trying different things and educating people on the process. And you
Yeah.
go about it so methodically. And the way you figure it out, it just resonates with me. And you present it the way you figured it out. I think that's cool. It's going to the next level, and maybe you do it again 100 times, or maybe you learn that I'm never going to do that again, or maybe you learn
Yeah.
that there's a better way of doing that next time. And I got land that I thought would be great for storage, and probably about the same time as you. I hired maybe even the same consultants as you. This is a different state. This is like California, right?
Mhm.
Um, but they work nationally and they say it's going to take, here's the economics, how much it's going to cost, how much time it's going to take, how fast it's going to get leased up based on all the different storage facilities in the area and what they're charging and what they're doing and their occupancy. And they pull a lot of data together and they put these pretty amazing reports together. They charge a good deal for them. But I thought with that it would make it really easy to sell the land. And this particular project in Northern California, boy, was I wrong. And I had already bought the land, got the report put together, and it was just too small. It was too small of a facility to attract the big commercial brokers to go sell the thing. And I was calling them up, and they're like, oh, we want 150,000 square feet, or we want
Mm.
100,000 square feet, or we want 50,000 square feet. And mine was going to be like 30 something, 40,000 square feet with
Yeah.
the particular project, but the market was really good for it. And the uptake, they were suggesting like 3 to 4 months, I'm going to have this whole thing sold out
Mm.
at the rates that they were coming up with. It was just sounded way too good to be true, just like your story.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a boondog project of mine, but it
What'd you end
was
up doing? Did you do anything self-storage with it or just sell it as land or what did you do?
it's still there. I've
Hmm.
run it through every auction on the block. I've run it through all the brokers I could find. And it's a learning curve. It is a learning curve project that is still some one of the other storage companies got a 5 acre project on the other side of town and built a big storage facility. And it went really fast. And looking at the zoning of this particular town, they don't allow any more roll-up door kinds of storage. It's
Mhm.
all got to be interior. And the county has a couple properties that are zoned for roll-up door style storage, and I got the only one that's left. The other ones already have facilities on them. I thought I had a monopoly on where the next location goes. Boy, was I wrong. Um, Things change, people change the rules, they change it's it's like the rat race game, rat race movie. They say time to go, go. There's no rules
Yeah.
between here and there in commercial real estate or in real estate, right?
Hmm.
The game changes. And it was yeah, it was a learning experience. Lots of other properties worked very well. That one just didn't. Nobody wants that property. Can't figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes that happens, but
Yeah.
hundreds or thousands of others have been just fine. Um,
Yeah. It's interesting. A lot of times I talk to people like this happens most conversations I have with people when I
yeah,
say I'm in self storage, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna do that one day. Like, that's a great idea. Like, it's on my bucket list." And I'm just like, man, like,
yeah,
it's not the hardest thing to manage, but like, it is not an idiot-proof business. Like, there are a
no,
million different ways to screw it up, kind of like any development. So,
yeah. So the next time around, I'm not saying no. I mean, I've worked on other successful self-storage properties that I sold off to developers and things. Um, those stories aren't as fresh in my mind as the one that irks me, right? But next time I want to do it with high traffic retail. I want to have a lot more people and customers in the area. This is the main busy street in that particular town, but it's not as busy and big enough of a town for the kinds of storage facilities that the bigger brokers are asking for, that they can go sell fast. And I don't want to have a cost basis on the property. I want to have a lot of time to work on it without a cost basis. And I think the best way to approach that with my skill set and my understanding in the markets is with high traffic retail. I could put the McDonald's and the fried chicken place and the drive-through place and the coffee place and a couple of those in the front, and I could keep the back. Like those would pay for my land and make it happen. And the thing in the back, I could put storage on there, or I could put apartments on there, or I could put a subdivision on there, put something higher intensity use in the back that I could make a good deal of money on. But it might take a while to do the entitlements and figure it out. But I could use the money from the high traffic retail in the front to cover the cost of the land and the entitlements to go knock it out, and then bring in a JV partner or somebody to capitalize, or bank financing to capitalize the build out. I think that's how I would approach it next time. But just always a learning curve. So
yeah.
how do you how do you envision your next one? Is it the same kind of project? Is it something else? Is it something you see up the street? Is it around the corner?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I mean, if I could just wave a magic wand and make this work, I would find an existing facility that I could buy because I would have cash flow on day one. I wouldn't have all the complexities of development and all the question marks and time delays and all this stuff.
Yeah,
But if you want something that plug and play, like you're going to pay for it. It's
yep,
generally not going to be a steal or anything unless you kind of find somebody at the right time, maybe. Or if you found like a really small facility. I almost bought a really
yeah,
small one this past year, but I decided not to just because like the juice wasn't worth the squeeze.
yeah,
So it's kind of that. It's been elusive for me finding that sweet spot where like it's big enough and it's you know completed, ready to go, and it's not crazy expensive. Ideally, like a facility where they have some excess land where you could add more stuff onto it and make it better, that kind of thing.
yeah.
And maybe I just haven't looked hard enough. I have been confining my search to like West Michigan, which I think is probably part of my problem. I just need to like
It's
look
hot.
in other
West
states.
Michigan's it's going. It's
Yeah.
bouncing. I
Yeah.
was
That
just
I've
talking
not
to
found hardly any motivation around here to sell. So it
right.
could just be indicative of the market where I'm looking. I don't know.
I was just talking to a broker this morning who does Meyer and
Mhm.
Starbucks, and he had a whole bunch of different brands up his sleeve
Nice.
that he's been doing projects with in West Michigan. Like, ooh, maybe I should talk to Seth. We should figure out where the next Meyer goes.
There you
Maybe
go.
we put a bunch of QSRs in the front. Maybe we can
Yeah.
put storage in the back. But I think that would be the all-star piece of land.
Yeah.
So I got the Meyer guy for West Michigan if you're up for it, if you want
Yeah.
to do that data dance and that kind of search,
That would
right?
be, sounds like a good guy to know.
Yeah, that'd be that would be a fun one. Um, For whoever's listening, if you don't know Meyer is I think they started in Grand Rapids or
They started in Greenville, which is where my self-storage facility is. So like,
okay, yeah.
yeah, like about 5 miles away from my facility is where Meyer started.
And they grew up and they've got these amazing stores. The traffic that goes through a Meijer, I mean, you put a Meijer and a Walmart next to each other, and if you look at the customer counts on both of them, 9 out of 10 times the Meijer is going to have more people going to it than the Walmart. And that's really hard to say. Like, who else beats Walmart and the kind of traffic that goes into a Walmart? It's Meijer does. Meijer does it with the grocery. They do it with like they got all kinds of stuff in there. They take Sam's Club and Walmart and put them together, if you will, and put the grocery store in front. And they
Yeah.
just do it up right, and they do good customer service and prices and just Michigan quality kind of offering with these monstrosity parking lots. And they'll oftentimes go on the outskirts of town. They'll go strike it off on their own. Maybe that's the only place they can find the land to work, but they'll do that and then business will grow up around them. And it's like Publix is happening in the South. Aldi's is happening in all over the place. And Kroger has everywhere else in between. Meyer is coming from the Michigan angle and taking over parts of the country. That would be an amazing retailer. What other projects you working on, Seth? You told me about a CRM system, and you've always got new videos going on your channel. And
Yeah,
what should people look at when they're looking up
sure.
what you do?
Yeah, well, last April 2025, my friend Mike Balkman and I came together and we decided to put together a CRM system for land investors. And it can actually be used by anybody in the real estate world, but
Yeah,
we knew a lot of the issues that land investors were dealing with, just like having like a dozen different tools and software you're paying for and
yeah,
12 different tabs open and none of it communicates and it's expensive. And we wanted to solve a lot of those problems. So we started Stride CRM. It's stridecrm.co. And it's basically a CRM platform for land investors. You can bring in your phone, bring in your texting, bring in your calendar, bring in like most of the software you're probably using can be brought into Stride and you can cut all that stuff. And it's been a really fun adventure. I've never run a SaaS, software as a service company like this before.
yeah.
And to be fair, Mike does pretty much all of the back end work. I'm more of like the face and the marketing of the company. But it's been an interesting new challenge and adventure to figure that out, and really fun to actually like create a software product that's super useful for people. So yeah,
That's great. It can help a lot of people. And just it's so much more open to help and help and help in lots of ways. Much more. I'm missing the word. You can cover a lot of people.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
losing my
yeah, totally.
vocabulary. But so you said texting and calling. Is that the main outreach
Yeah,
that a lot of people are doing in today's markets? I mean, I was always much more sending mailers and mailers and mailers. I think you were mailers in the past, but I think the conversion's been happening,
yeah,
natural progression of the business, right? You're looking more at calls and texting, and is it
yeah.
still
And
mailing or?
so we're actually working on getting mail in Stride probably later this year. So that's on the way. But and that's kind of the struggle is like there is, I think, sometimes a limit to how much you want one thing to do. Like when you've
Yeah,
got, I don't know, like a futon, for example, it's a bed and a couch. And it's not really great at either one. It just kind of does both.
yeah,
So it's like there are some things like you don't necessarily want to force it into a system when it's built to do too many things, um, but yeah, so in terms of the different types of marketing that land people are doing, yeah, it's direct mail. I think that's still probably their number one thing, but I think it has gone down a lot because the cost
yeah,
of postage and mailers have gone way up. The response rates have gone down, and things like texting and cold calling are frankly cheaper, and you get more interaction with people. But
yeah,
it's a very different game because with direct mail, like if somebody calls you on that, like they really had to want to call you. Like they opened it up, they read it, they picked up their phone, they called you. Whereas with like a text or a call, like you're kind of interrupting somebody in the middle of their day. Like they might not
yeah,
want to talk to you at all. Just because you're talking with them doesn't mean they're a warm lead. So you just have to go in it with different expectations. But I think for people who have the right expectations, the texting and cold calling can work great for them.
Yeah, I see a lot of people pulling deals, making deals happen, and on all those fronts, still doing mailers, still doing texting, still doing calls. Some of them advertising online, different approaches, voicemail, dropping voicemails, or ringless voicemail, and
Yeah.
lots of
What,
different
what what's
reach.
your number one deal finding method these days, Luke? Just with the kind of stuff you're doing now.
Yeah. So I can't keep up with all the phone calls of just people calling saying, "What about my land, Luke? You got to work on my land."
Hmm.
And that bogs me down. I'm up late at night just trying to figure out properties that people bring to me. It's usually a broker that I did a deal with recently, and they say I want to do it again. And I think that's an amazing thing about commercial real estate compared to
Yeah.
residential real estate. I've got a big passion for residential real estate, but in commercial real estate, it's much more replicable. You can repeat, you can do it again and again and again.
Yeah.
Um,
It's very true. I saw that when I was in the banking industry. Like, if you take care of somebody and do a good job, like you can almost count on seeing them again. And
yeah,
you don't really have to. I mean, I don't want to say you don't have to market yourself anymore, but it gets a lot easier when you get a
yeah.
reputation.
Like the call right before this call, one of the guys I work with and coach and teach and help and hold hands and everything, he got a piece of land and was listed on the market. It's been listed for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years or whatever. Multiple different signs before that listing, different brokers. It's been on the market forever, right? It's my point. And he called up the listing broker and negotiated a deal just like I coached him to do and got it under contract for a good deal of time. And which is, I think, a beautiful way to go find a tenant. And he went to my data. I do a lot of data dance of what tenants go where based on all kinds of criteria that I've come up with over time, talking to these different tenants, working on these different properties. And he went marketing and basically sending out some emails. And he got a hit, the learning experience. Learning experience is growing rapidly and they want to build on the property. So it's about a $3.5 million build, which is scary sauce, right? That's a big number.
Yeah.
And the this particular property is about $1 million property. We haven't paid for the property yet, right? We got it under contract, and we got the learning experience wants to build, and then the rents that we can get out of learning experience and everything they sell in the markets for about 6 million bucks. So how do you go from $1 million land, $3.5 million build to $6 million in the market? Is the secret sauce of putting the partners together. We've got different partners in the group that love to put up that kind of money. One person put up the deposit on the deal. Another person wants to put up the $3.5 million for building the thing out. And in reality, they'll just go to their banker and pull it off. But they've got the credit to do that. And we got a different partner that likes to be the land guy. I've done deals with land people for years and years and years, right? They love funding land because we can turn the land into something else. We add pictures, add story, add whatever, go sell it for more on the market. In this case, we add a brand, we add a shop. And so that increases the value of it on the market. And so when you're looking for land to do that kind of deal, it's a different dance than sending out all the crazy mailers you used to do in the past, or all the texting and cold calling and everything. You get a very specific order of what that customer wants. They want this kind of traffic. They want this kind of income in the area. They want these kinds of demographics. That people have to be, they got to have a bunch of little kids, right? That are the right age to go to the learning experience. Like, how do you figure that out? It's a data set, right? So you can figure that out and where that goes. And you can do it if you're in the real estate in, vacant land. You're a lot better at it already than everybody else. And you just don't know it.
Yeah.
And you can go figure out where that property is. And they don't want just one, they want hundreds or thousands. They got like, I think 600 locations open right now. And they want, thousands of those locations. You can help them go from 600 to thousands. That's more of a land search than we have people and attention to go do. And most of the people are scared of it because of the numbers, they're scared of it because of the lingo, they're scared because of, I don't know, they just don't know. But that's just one brand. There's hundreds of brands like that. There's thousands of brands like that looking for good deals. And it's not just about the land. They want the financing with it. They want the building. They'll go build the building on your property and pay you rent. There's a lot of different ways to do it. It's just getting through that dance. The value add part of it is putting that land together with that tenant, and then that creates value, that creates lift. And when you do that, the people that you just did that with, they call you and say, Luke, let's do it again. Luke, let's do it again. And the phone goes, never stops. And
Yeah.
so the deals come to you, and you don't have to be doing that outreach, right? But I think
Mhm.
you don't start there. You start with the outreach, and you learn off of the outreach of what you're teaching and what you're doing, and that's the shotgun approach. And then you get more accurate. Like these deals are awesome. This price, this five acres in this county. Like, let's get more of those. I could sell that really fast. And you get more rifle instead of shotgun, and you start finding those. And eventually, you might get into something where you're creating neighborhoods, you're creating shopping centers, you're creating apartments, you're creating hotels, you're creating high traffic, fast food places or grocery stores, whatever it might be that's your niche, because you get that one customer that clicks and they say, let's do it again. I need more of that. And then you can go find that specifically for them. And I think
Yeah.
that's a different kind of outreach. It doesn't fit the same bill as just spraying everybody with an
Mhm.
offer, trying to get a
Yeah.
statistical anomaly to take advantage of, which
Sure.
I love doing. I'm really passionate for, but I think as you do more and more deals over time, the trade progresses.
Yeah. With that example, you were talking about how you take the land and you find the brand and you find the story and this kind of thing. What is the risk in that? Like, say your partner who puts in the $3 million, like by the time he's putting his money in, what could go wrong at that point? Like, you already have a brand that's in there, right? It's like, could something like jeopardize his investment at that point? Maybe you build it and the people don't come, or just trying to figure out how risky is this kind of thing?
It's not a high return slice of the capital. It's a lower return slice of the capital. The
Mhm.
return is propensity, as the equivalent, or I'm missing the words, is parallel to the capital. And so it's a large dollar amount of capital, but it's a very low risk. It's a
Mhm.
piece of money. That build to suit money, that building money can be done by banks, and
Mhm.
the at banking rates, 7-8% kind of money in
Mhm.
today's market for that kind of stuff. It's not the home mortgage, upper fives or lower sixes in today's market. It's sevens and eights. And they look at it and they say, okay, let's take the learning experience example. The learning experience is a big company. They've promised to pay XYZ rent over the next forever kind of period. We're basically taking their credit rating to get the bank underwriting.
Mhm. Sure.
And if we already have the land, if we've got the land investor, which is a different risk profile to buy the land, um, or we negotiated something with the seller of the land, which we can do that too, and we could use their equity in it to do it. But if we had to buy it off of them, and that's riskier. That's like the storage facility didn't make sense. It didn't, in your example, you didn't get the zoning changed. You didn't get the permissions to build the storage facility. You could cut it up into 3 lots and sell 3 different housing units. So the land is still there. It's not going away. You could do something else with it. You could rejig it. You could rework it. But getting it through the entitlements of making sure the geotech works, like we're not on a sinkhole, we're not on
Yeah.
a swamp, we're not on some basic land stuff that is, it's solid land. You can actually build there. We can figure out where the water goes, the utilities work. That those basic tests are smaller dollar tests in the front end, but you can get creative on paying for them too if you're doing um, retail properties, not apartments, not storage, not industrial. Maybe you can, because I've never tried. But a lot of the other ones don't generally and aren't willing to do prepaid rents. But retail, you could ask for prepaid rents. And so you could ask for like a year's worth of prepaid rent, for example, and you could use that money to cover any commissions that you might have involved with whoever's helping you put this together, and the entitlement process and the permits, the design, the engineering. Like when you bought your land for storage, You had to come up with that money, I'm guessing, or maybe you had a
Mhm.
partner, or maybe you asked your wife or something, but
Yeah, it was all
you
me.
had to come up with the money, right?
Mhm.
Um, wouldn't it be nice if you had a amazing tenant that wanted to go there, that they would want the money back if something went wrong, but if they gave you $100,000 or something to cover those costs. The first couple tests might be a phase 1 environmental test. Let's make sure it's not an old gas station or something. $1,500, $2,500, something like that. And then the next might be basic geotech. Let's poke some holes into it, maybe 5, 10 grand, and make sure the ground is solid. Okay, we're getting past the riskiest of the risky stuff. We're good to go. Let's put the rest of the money into real civil work and real design. You know, this is what the building's going to look like, and this are going to be the components in the building and all that. That's not that much risk. The companies that do that are cut and pasting off of other projects of the same brand, right?
Mm.
They know how to figure that out.
Yeah.
And then you go put it out to bidders, you know, to bids, the GC guys, like who's going to build it, like who's got the time, who's got the experience, how much are they going to come in at? If you cook enough room for error in there, that's going to work, right? Um, those risks all kind of start falling away. So if you get past that entitlement phase with the tenant's money, and if it doesn't work, you're a land person, you could probably go find 5 or 10 other sites for them and use that same money and retread it and get one of the other ones to work because maybe you only needed 50 grand to pull it off and you got 100 grand from them. It might be a back dance. You might have to put
Mhm.
on your tap dancing shoes and lipstick to pucker up and pull it off, but or pull out the pocketbook and pay the gap to give them their money back if you can't figure it out. So that I think that would be the high risk in doing it that way, or the main part of the risk. But when you have all those numbers, you've got the timeline, you've got the cost, you've got basically the permits in place, ready to go. You go to the JV partner who finances the build out, and that's a cheaper money guy. It's not big money guy. And the ones that are good at it, they've got a line of credit with their bank, and they're doing 100 of these a year, and they just add this onto the line of credit, like, here's we got to make 3 payments, pay the contractors along the way, or maybe they're paying all the different bills along the way, and they look at it and they've done the deal with that same tenant numerous times before with different developers, and they say, Luke, you could have some better terms if you did a little this and a little like that. They do that in the other deals. How am I supposed to know that? Those guys know it. They're JV, not just money. They help in lots of ways. They can help knock out your project and do it. So I think that's a huge opportunity in the commercial real estate space that's not as it's not available in the residential space. I guess,
Mm.
I mean, I've done it with mobile home manufacturers and like Ryan Homes. I did one with Ryan Homes last year. You can kind of do it with some of the bigger home developer guys, but not as much. Retail, it's a lot easier there's hundreds of brands so you can do it with.
Mhm.
You can
Yeah,
go do it again and again and again, right?
sure. How much competition is there in what you do? Do you have a sense for that? Like, because it seems like a much higher barrier to entry to develop the expertise that you have. Are there a lot of other guys like you that you're like going head to head with on these projects, or are you kind of the only guy doing it?
I make more mistakes than everybody else. I don't know. I just learn and I get myself in there. Um, I talk to different brokers and I talk to people in the industry all the time, and they call me back because there aren't many, if any. And the ones that are doing these deals, they're booked up, right? They're full.
Mhm.
They don't have the
Yeah.
plate to take on more projects. So I think at a much higher level than me, there's some pretty awesome ones. And they sing their own song. They make their own music, right? And I
Yeah.
don't think you see them, you don't hear from them, they don't teach, they don't show. You can see them in the data. You can see deal after deal after deal of these groups rolling through the markets, but you don't hear a peep out of them.
Yeah.
They don't share.
Yeah. It almost seems like a profession. I don't know if you'd say you fall into it necessarily, but you know, I don't know of any like college degree that's going to teach you precisely what you know. It's almost like you sort of start doing something else more conventional, and then you kind of discover that this is a thing you could do, and you
Yeah,
start doing it.
it's on accident. You
Yeah.
discover it on accident, right? And
Yeah.
it's I got stuck with a bunch of vacant land, high traffic vacant land that I thought looked beautiful, and the statistics says it sells for, up here, and I can't get a quarter of that when I try to sell it. Like, what's wrong with me? I'm missing something.
Mm.
And I was missing the brand. It took me a while to figure out that you need the brand to go to those high traffic retail properties, to get those numbers that you can see in the statistics that are happening.
Yeah.
Shy of that brand, it just doesn't happen. And with regularity, there's statistical freaks in there, but to repeat and repeat and repeat, it just doesn't happen without the brand.
And to
So how
get
do
the
you find the
brand,
brand?
is it just
Yeah,
traffic? Is that how you get the brand, or is there something else they need to see to say, "Yep, I want to do this"?
yeah. There's a lot of different attributes that go into finding the brand. Like
Mm.
in this last week, um, got a dark Dunkin' building, like a QSR building, drive-through building. And the Dunkin's still paying rent, right? And I can renegotiate with the Dunkin' and get some settlement. And if I could find a new tenant for it, um, I could make it dance. And so I put together a flyer and I put the attributes of the property together. And my point of view, when you look at other people's flyers, this doesn't really get down to business and why the tenant would want to be there. It's
Mm.
this stuff of why an investor might want to invest in it. It's who's usually creating them. It's not somebody that's targeting the tenant. And so I've done a lot of marketing of vacant land and vacant building, and I get a lot of kickback for all these questions I learned, right? And so I learned what they're asking for, and I try to get it to one page if I can, but it usually spills to a two-page kind of PDF. This is why you should be in this freaking property. It's awesome because of whatever
Yeah.
it is.
What are those reasons? Like,
Well, in this particular property, the Duncan that was there was like a 93 percentile Duncan. Out of all the Duncans in the country, this one was doing, you know, the top 7 or 8 percentile of all of them. Why would they stop doing business? Well, that's a head scratcher. But they, somebody else, and there's no restrictions on it. So other coffee shops could go in there and do more coffee business and take their location. And they're going to do awesome coffee business there because Duncan already tested it and proved the location, right?
yeah,
So when the property was up for sale, nobody pointed that out. Maybe they didn't have the data. Maybe they don't understand that. Maybe they don't look at it that way. They're like, oh, this is the square footage and this is like, it's got a driveway and it's got I'm like, yeah, okay, it was built in 2022 and it used to be a 93 percentile Duncan. Like, boom, it's a coffee shop. Next door is a Popeye's Chicken. Popeye's Chicken is doing 98 percentile Popeye's Chicken. That is a really hot Popeye's Chicken. The chicken shops in today's markets are growing like crazy. They ought to be right next door to Popeye's Chicken is doing 93 percentile. They can plug their chicken brand in there and sell. They're going to sell chicken, right? It's like
yeah.
you're not going to miss. And so I put the presentation together. I put Popeye's chicken logo, and the other marketing of the thing didn't have any logos. Like, no logos? Popeye's chicken, a nice bright red, orange, flashy logo. Everybody knows Popeye's chicken. Like, slap that sucker on there and say, I'll change the colors of the building. I'll give you $100,000 to change the colors, change the sign, I make it really easy. I'll pay you to move into the building. There's a sales pitch for you, right? And here's the shop. And I sent that out before dinner on Sunday. And after dinner at Bojangles. Bojangles wants it. I'm like, okay, done. And Monday morning, this last week, Monday morning, I got Scooter's Coffee. Scooter's Coffee wants it. They got a half dozen locations in town or franchisees in town that would love it. Like, okay, see who can pay faster. Right?
Is the goal to
Let's
get
let
it
it
bidding
go.
more? Is that kind of your perfect scenario?
It takes one, but like
Yeah.
let's, it's real estate. Sometimes they
Yeah.
don't pay at all.
Mm.
So we got the thing under contract, but didn't even buy it yet. And got a tenant, and then they say, what's the rent? I'm like, so who are you? Based on who they are, how much rent you can charge. Like Scooters does 1.2 million sales a year per location. And so there's like a simple rule of thumb ratio off of that you can do to figure out how much rent you can get out of them. And Bojangles does over $2 million a year, like 2.3 or $2.4 million a year on their average location. It's pretty much double scooters. It doesn't mean you're going to get double the rent out of them, but you can get a lot more rent out of them.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
more
so,
room.
yeah, there's more room. And that's an amazing thing. So you could target just shops that can pay enough rent or pay more rent to make the deal work. And then I can go back to the guy that's still paying rent on the shop and I can do a workout with him and settlement with him, get him out of paying for it from there and get money from him, get money from, I can use his money to fix up the shop for the new people. I could get more rent out of the new people. Value of the shop goes up when we can take out a spread. We can do a double close. You're in Michigan, you can do double closes in Michigan. Some of those title companies in Michigan will like double close that stuff, no problem. This property's in a different state. You can still double close it here. You can do double close. They don't have to put up money at all. You go sell it in the markets at a higher rate. And disposition side of it is an investment vehicle. They're looking at the credit rating of the Duncan, sorry, not the Duncan, the Bojangles or the scooters, who the franchisee is. What does that sell for in the market? It's like a cap rate. It's liquid. You get it off like just a little low, that thing's gone. If you look at the brokers that have those brands for sale in the market today, you can say, how much would that really sell for? And they say, I got bids at this and that, but the seller's not willing to go there. Like I am. They ready to close? Let's do the deal, right? Here's a different shop for them. Let's close. Let's close. Here's the date we close on. Here's the double close date. You make it that date, we're good. And you can take out the spread.
Yeah.
Did the same thing this week on a Dairy Queen. There's a Dairy Queen in I'm going to leave the location of this one out. A marijuana shop wants to go for it. I started marketing and it was day 3 of marketing. It wasn't the day 1 as the previous example. It was day 3 of sending out some who goes here. I had a couple different brands that are kicking the tires, but the marijuana shop is like, oh heck yeah, we're going for it. And this marijuana shop's like big publicly listed in the Canadian markets, one great credit. I know the brokers that are selling those shops. I called them up, checked on them. This is what they could sell for. They got bidders and waiting at this price and that price. And they would take my shop like immediately if I do the paperwork with the tenant. Um, so that's you turn Dairy Queen into marijuana shop. There's no school next door, there's no church next door, there's no restrictions. Ready to go. Like you don't do that one.
Yeah.
Did a diagnostics shot Quest Diagnostics clicked in this week on a particular piece of land. If you ever get your blood tested or any other body fluids of some kind, it's at a Quest Diagnostics. And they've got 6,000 locations or something in the country and they want more, right? They want more. They like a piece of land that I have under contract and they want me to build a building for them. The same example we are just talking about, just a different shaped building. And we could do it again. We can, then they want more. How many more locations do you want? Where do you want them? Oh, here we go. Let's go get them. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do it for dentist shops, coffee shops, fast food shops. I could tell stories until you're blue in the face. I meant to set this up and ask you questions, and you're getting me talking about my deals. I'm always excited about my deals, but I think
I
you've
want to know
got an
about this stuff
army
too.
of land people in your following that could do better and better land deals as they keep scaling up and get into the higher quality land deals. And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of that out there. It's a huge opportunity in so many
It-
different ways.
it's, I mean, I've heard you say this before, like the data is really a big deal. When you talk about this Dunkin' Donuts is in the
Yeah,
93rd percentile, or just knowing this stuff. Like what does a certain brand do annually each year? Um, you probably explained this to me already when I had you on my podcast, but like where is that data coming from? Like how do I just
yeah,
tap into these things? Is this like Placer AI or Alpha Maps or something else? Like how do you know this stuff?
yeah, yeah. So I like Placer data. Placer.ai's beautiful software. It's just too expensive. I mean, I could buy a new car for my wife every year instead of paying for that thing, right? It's expensive.
That is expensive.
Um, it's a lot of money for some data. Alpha Maps has a lot of the same kind of data, and I just had a wonderful conversation with the CEO of Alpha Maps a couple days ago, and he we didn't finalize the deal yet, but it's he was asking if I help him with some of the presentations of the data and how it's formulated and things to help people use it better. He'd let my group of people that I work with uh, get into alpha maps. And I'm not sure if that's like the lower level or the higher level, but I can get my guys in basically for free by advising a little bit on helping alpha maps. And I think alpha maps has some really unique features that are quite amazing. Anyone out there is looking for that kind of data. Alpha Maps has a free trial. Like you can go to their website and try it for a couple days and go click on shops and you can click on brands. You can look up brands. You can look on maps. You can look around the properties that you have. If you're invested in these kinds of things, you can see, oh, my tenant's doing horrible over here. Or maybe my tenant's doing awesome. Maybe you want to trade out the horrible ones and buy some awesome ones when the rest of the market's not watching the data because you know they're going to last a lot longer. You could look at land around them and start figuring out better ones. You could say, okay, where's the Chick-fil-A? You know, Chick-fil-A is doing awesome. Where's the awesome Chick-fil-A? Maybe the next chicken shop goes next to the awesome Chick-fil-A. It's that data set is can be used in so many different ways. Um,
Yeah, as I heard you talking about this flyer you put together, that's a 1 or 2 page PDF that's really getting at the tenants' issues and what they want to see in order to say
yeah.
yes. Like whatever those bullet points are, like do those all come from Alpha Map, or do you need something else beyond that to gather that information?
Um, you can fill out a lot of those bullet points with alpha maps, but it takes a head on your shoulders to look at the property. It's not an AI solution. It's not a fill in the blank.
Mhm.
Different properties have different attributes. Some of them are great for one thing and others are great for others. Like McDonald's is really trying to grow like crazy right now. McDonald's wants lots of new locations, right? McDonald's likes to do ground leases, which everyone thinks McDonald's wants to buy. I've sold land to McDonald's in the past, but they changed. Today they want ground lease. They don't
Hmm.
want to just buy a land, they want a ground lease. And for if you don't understand ground lease, I'll just a ground lease is if you're
How
the
many years is that?
landowner.
Is it like, I'm sorry, I'll let you explain. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
I'll I'll answer that. If you're the landowner and McDonald's says, I want a ground lease, they'll negotiate like you gotta maybe they want you to remove the trees or a building or whatever's on your property, or maybe not. You can negotiate a clean ground lease with them and they'll lease the property, they'll pay you rent, they will build the McDonald's, they'll build it, they'll operate it, they'll run it, they'll do all the marketing, everything, and they'll pay you rent, they'll pay you rent, they'll pay you rent. And they'll pay you rent for usually a 15-year contract with a bunch of extensions from there that go on forever. And they usually want the first right of refusal to buy it. If you're selling it to somebody else, they'll want to have the shot to buying it too. But in today's market, if you're selling a McDonald's ground lease, it's like a 3.5 cap, or it depends on where in the markets. But if you do the math and how much rent you get out of McDonald's, and you just divide by 0.035, you get some stupendous number, and that's what you can sell them for in the market. And it's way bigger than the cost of what you paid for the land. In my opinion, if you're doing it right, you can find an awesome place to put a McDonald's. You go tell McDonald's, McDonald's, you're missing here. There's a lot of traffic. This is where you belong. And so to answer your question, 15 years, it's usually a 15-year ground lease that they're pitching. And that's just market standards, and they'll increase the rent. You know, bing, 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 bing. This last one I negotiated with them was $75,000 rent because it was really close to another McDonald's. But sometimes they'll do 80 or 100 or 120, depending on the property. And if you do that times or divided by 0.035, it's millions of dollars, right? It's a big number to get to sell that land for. Um, and so that's cool. I think the data, like if you look at alpha maps and you put your thinking cap on, be like, where does McDonald's go? And you look at some of the best McDonald's, like if you sort and you look at the best McDonald's that are happening in there, they're in airports and they're in, places you're not going to get land. They're Times Square or something, right? But if you go down the list, 100 down or 100 deep, or maybe even 200 or 300 down the list in McDonald's scenario, you're going to start seeing similarities in places that you could get the land. And one of the similarities that I saw that I thought was really interesting, which is really obvious, but I didn't think of it because I'm not that smart, was that really good McDonald's are in front of really good Walmarts. Like, well, obviously, right? Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Why don't we just look at all the really good Walmarts that don't have a McDonald's? And so I started downloading data and flipping data, and it's like, holy cow, there's a lot of really good Walmarts that don't have a McDonald's right out in front of them. And they still have some land or some other building that we could buy and bulldoze and get rid of for a lot cheaper than those numbers I just gave you on what you can sell a McDonald's for. There's a spread. That's a different land play. You can do that with hundreds of brands. There's lots of ways to reverse engineer these brands to figure out where they ought to be. And you
Yeah.
can do it ahead of that company. They don't do that. They're not doing that. I don't know why. They should be. And you go show them the results from your data. Here's a new location that you should be in, and they eat it up.
Yeah.
That's, I think, a great way to go looking for new locations is to just understand the best of where they belong.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I was on a call before this one where we were talking about AI, and a lot of people are having panic attacks because they think their career is going to get destroyed in the next 2 years because of
Yeah.
AI and all this stuff. And um, in in that conversation, and then in this conversation, a couple themes I'm noticing, and that is the importance and the increasing value of critical thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard you say it a few times now. Like you're right. Like this is not a brainless thing. Like it's not
No.
just looking at numbers on a spreadsheet. Like you actually have to like think in multiple dimensions to see, does this actually make sense? And maybe it makes sense for
Yeah.
them, but not them. And uh, I mean, AI can spit information at you all day, but like
Yeah.
it still has huge knowledge gaps with critical thinking. Like it tells you all
Yeah.
stupid stuff all the time. You got to be
Yeah.
smarter than that and understand, like, does this work? Like put it through a stress test. And I think that's where the real value is going to come from in the future.
Totally. Totally agree with you. But it's a great tool to look up, like, what's Bojangles' average unit sales? What does Bojangles usually pay in rent? What kind of terms does Bojangles usually do? Or go flip over to McDonald's or whatever the brand might be. And lots of times AI will spit out examples. Sometimes it'll get lost and not know. And maybe you could take a competitor of theirs and plug that in and get close. And it's not going to be the same thing. But a lot of the AI systems will point out where they're getting their sources from. And you can say, I don't totally believe you, but you can go look at the sources and you can, quantify them or qualitate them or, qualify the sources from there too and think about it and see if that makes sense. And if you start looking at these brands that have, I'm just talking about fast food shops for now, but if you look at how much sales they do, you can get more rents out of them. And if they're willing and able to pay more rents, they have more horsepower to take on more land. And if we're dealing in land, that's what we want to know. Who can take on that land? Who could put their shop there? Who's expanding, who's growing fast and blowing up and eating up properties? We want to be in front of them and we want to give them not just one, but 100 locations or more, hopefully, and grow their business in an exponential way. And that's all those AI tools help. They're all great. I think if you can understand how to use a small piece of it, just a little bit of it, you're going to be ahead of the vast majority of everybody else working on these or any your class of real estate, whatever it is you're working on, you believe in. And instead of getting worried about being run over by it, just learning little bits, adding them together. How can I use this? Testing, trying, learning, putting it to use. Um, one of the data sets I was working on a couple 2 days ago, I noticed a lot of the names were transposed, and it wasn't like all of them or none of them. It was just some of them. It was like, Smith Mary instead of Mary Smith, right? Like in my mind, it's obviously transposed, but how do you differentiate that in data? And like, well, there's a job for AI. You
Yeah.
can start cleaning them and start pointing out the ones that are probably most likely transposed. And you can clean data with just simple AI calls like that and make it so much more accurate. So when I reach out to Mary Smith, it's not Smith Mary that I'm talking to, it's Mary Smith and my automated reach to them. And being able to modify mail merge marketing things, customizing it to that person. Mary Smith, congratulations on your new location you just opened in XYZ on the 24th of July. That's amazing, awesome, great. Love to see your successful shop. Wouldn't it be nice to open another one over here where I've got a building for you, right? And it's the same kind of size. We've got better traffic. Our neighbors are doing more business than your one over there. Because of all that, you should be doing more sales and more revenue. And I'm willing to charge a lower rent. And let's make it happen, baby. Like you
Yeah.
can customize that stuff with AI. You can customize it, dial it in, get the sales pitch delivered. Like, here you go. I'm doing your business for you, growing your business for you. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I I love that kind of stuff.
And you're clearly good
Um,
at it. Fun to
I'm
see.
just making mistakes and learning, right? So yeah, thank you, Seth. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for
Yeah, of course.
sharing your storage project. I didn't mean to go off on my different kinds of talks, but
Oh,
wanted
that's
to
great,
look
man.
up
That's why people are
yours
here. They
and
like hearing from you.
just deal after deal and learning and figuring them out. I think it would be amazing. It'd be too much to ask, but if you could go find the perfect spot for another Meyer, like Western Michigan, to see if Western Michigan could fit another Meyer, that would be a reverse engineering feat. Like go see where the best Meyers go, where there's one that's missing. I got the
Yeah.
guy. Like we could.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
I remember hearing about them trying to expand into Chicago, which they've done. But the problem they were having in Chicago was the land was so stinking expensive. It was just really hard to get
yeah,
into that market. So they're going into other directions. But
yeah.
yeah,
They're
there's a lot of
figuring
them in
out.
West Michigan, though.
Yeah, it's probably totally overdone. Maybe it's better to look for Aldi. Aldi's doing ground leases. We don't even have to build it. We can find locations to put Aldi. Go put an Aldi right across from the Myers that are already there, right across
Yeah.
from their entrance. Like get the land across the street. Here's our Aldi. Go queue them
Dude, the
up.
people that I know that shop at Aldi are like fanatics about Aldi. Like they talk
Right?
about it all the time. Just like,
They
wow, you
are.
must. It's kind of like Costco people, where they just like it's this infatuation with a store brand, but
They
they must be
love
doing
it,
something right.
right? But they'll pay really good rents. I mean, if you
Yeah.
get the right property for them, they want kind of 2.5-ish acres
Hmm.
and high traffic, something like a Meijer across the street or a Walmart across the street or a Target or the Kroger in your neck of the woods. Um, that's doing a good level of business and they'll do a ground lease. You can get maybe 250, but some of them are like 175 or $200,000 rent. And Aldi's credit rating's amazing. Like they've got a really beautiful credit rating. We wouldn't have to build anything. All we'd have to do is supply them with the land. I can pitch Aldi all day long. I've pitched Aldi a bunch of times. Like we could go show them this is the property, this is where you belong. If we had the right property for an Aldi, I mean, sign me up, man.
You know,
Your neck of the woods deserves more Aldi.
I got one last question about that. So, um, I don't think this is true today, but there is a location, an Aldi location near where I live, and they built it about 20 years ago. And I remember when they built it, and it's by the way, it's across the street from the Meyer. So, but when
There
they
we
built this
go.
thing, what's that?
There we go. Across the
Yeah.
street from the Meijer. Yeah.
But when they built this thing, I remember people complaining that the presence of an Aldi was going to make it look like a ghetto, which I think is totally overstating it. But my point is, uh, does it ever happen where like you actually don't want a certain brand here? Like it's going to mess up the
Oh yeah.
perception of the area. Like are there certain brands that you just like, no, 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 we're never going to talk to them? Or does it just depend on the area?
That's a really good question. So a lot of shopping centers have restrictions and they put restrictions in for the sin shops, like no sex shops, no smoke shops, no abortion shops, no they don't want a church. They don't want government offices. The government offices bring in a bunch of people that don't buy stuff from the other stores, right? They
Mhm.
take up parking. Some of them don't want the karate and the little kids stuff,
Yeah.
because those people don't usually buy so much in the shopping center either. They don't want thrift. Sometimes they don't want, Goodwill or Salvation Army or whatever the thrift brand is. Goodwill and Salvation Army pay amazing rent. Like, I'd love to lease to those guys, but some of those aren't wanted. I call them the vampire shops, like the CSL Plasma and Octapharma and Fresnesius, and the ones that'll buy plasma. I'd love to rent to those guys. They pay amazing rent, but nobody wants to be next to them. Like,
Mhm.
you get a weird crowd hanging out in the parking lot, playing the loudest music, waiting for their friends, getting a, selling plasma to get some more money to go do whatever they're doing. Um, you know what I mean?
Those are
But you
my
get the
friends.
right, those are your friends, right? You get the right neighborhood, like $45,000 income neighborhood. Um, you take out the Walgreens or the Rite Aid or whatever the pharmacy used to be. It's like the perfect size for them, and you go convert it to that thing. You get a whole bunch
Yeah.
of rent out of it, but you can't do it if the shopping center says no, and the neighbors are like, ah, we don't want the vampire shop next door.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a lot of that. It's just the marijuana shops. Lots of times there's regulations. You can't be by the school. You can't be by the church. You can't be by the elementary, daycare, everything else, right?
So it sounds like
Um,
sometimes there's like actual restrictions, like you literally can't do
for
it. But
sure.
other times it's like you could, but you're sort of shooting yourself in the foot if you have to sell anything else around there. Right.
Yeah.
So
And then
you would
there's,
choose not to just because it's not going to help you in the future.
yeah. So, one of the shopping centers, the guy I'm working with right now, he negotiated a deal to buy the half the parking lot in front of the shopping center. And we got Starbucks. Starbucks wants to go there and they want to do a build to suit. And so we're negotiating with the shopping center. And the shopping center says, we want to know who the brand is before we go for it. And I'm trying to get cute. I'm trying to get a master lease off the property so I can get a whole bunch of time to go build the Starbucks and sell the Starbucks before I got to pay for the land. Everybody wins, right? But so we change the terms so they get to approve the tenant. So we get it under contract, we get the pricing and the timeline all lined up, but then, we sign up the tenant subject to approval. They approve Starbucks. Starbucks is going to bring in traffic to the shopping center. It's not going to block the view. It's going to be an awesome ripple effect. But they want to know who that is. They want to make sure it's not competing with the shopping center and it's not a detriment to the center, which, yeah, it's the same thing. The centers are always trying to protect their turf and what they're doing. Um, and then you get ripple effects to that too. Like, you put the Starbucks in there, and Starbucks will probably put on their paperwork that they don't want me to do other coffee shops, not just Starbucks, but other coffee shops. I'm not even the landowner, but they'll want me not to do coffee shops within like a mile radius of that shop. Like,
Mm.
don't put the Seven Brew down the street and the Dutch Brothers across the street and the Dunkin' on the next corner over. Like, come on, man. And I get it. I will sign
So you
those
can't,
rights
but I
away.
could.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. Hmm.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ways that they do that. They say affiliates, and you know, you don't want to piss off one of those brands. You want to do more deals with them.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm sure there's always ways around it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, good question.
Well, it was a
Okay.
pleasure. I was learning a lot talking to
Likewise.
you.
I'm going to share all kinds of social media and links, that Seth's been talking about. I've got his REtipster website in the description. His YouTube's going off. He's always got good content going on there. You should go subscribe to his YouTube channel. The stride.co. Am I saying that?
Right.
StrideCRM.co, right?
Yep, you got it.
StrideCRM.co. I was looking at the pricing on there and it said like a whole bunch of different kinds of users you could have in there if I'm presenting it right.
Yep.
And
Yeah. Limited users.
I looked at the annual pricing and it's like, oh man, I used to pay more than that a month for my Jira system, trying to keep track of all the different users and deals I had in the system that I built. I think it
Crazy.
just got frustrating. So mine was monthly more than his is annually. And I gotta go check that one out. And thank you, Seth. One last question is what are you using social media for, and what's good and bad about it? I'm always asking about social media because I'm passionate about social media too, for
Yeah.
real estate, getting your name out there, your brand, your deals, your
Yeah. Yeah,
what's
I
your
mean,
push right now?
it's a big umbrella term. I mean, when you say that, do you also mean like YouTube and like
Yeah,
TikTok,
like yeah,
Instagram, and
yeah,
everything?
some people are all about YouTube, some are about TikTok, some are just like LinkedIn, LinkedIn, LinkedIn. I'm
Yeah.
horrible at LinkedIn. I can't stand it.
Yeah, me
But
too.
some people love it and some people love Instagram or so I'm wondering which channels do you like? What do you where do you get the most benefit?
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that you kind of have to pick one or two and just ignore the other
Yeah,
ones, or you'll be sort of just lackluster at everything. But for me, the two are YouTube and Facebook. And
YouTube and Facebook.
um,
Okay.
YouTube, I kind of just, I mean, back in the day, that was the only video platform,
Right?
and that's
That's the
kind of just where,
OG.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it still works really well. I mean, I think it's still the number two biggest search engine out there, and it's very good at finding the right, like matching the viewer with the creator. You know, like even if
Yeah.
somebody's not subscribed to me, if I make a video that they need to see, YouTube somehow knows that and it'll put it in front of
Yeah.
them. So I like
YouTube's good
that.
at that.
Yeah. And Facebook, mainly because that's, for whatever reason, that's just where a lot of land investors are. It's just, rather than me trying to pull them somewhere else, I'll go where they already are.
Yeah.
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 Those are
There you go. I'll put your Facebook and YouTube in the description. Thank you,
awesome.
Seth. Thanks for coming on. Much
Of course.
appreciated. Love to hear about your deals, and I'll keep watching your content and what you're up to.
Awesome, man. Great to talk to you.
See you
Thanks for having
again.
me on.
Thanks.